Hi everyone, this is audap. Let's continue our game of Fatal 12 on Nintendo Switch.
女神の選定によってソーニャは一時的に生きることができています。ソーニャはパパとママに選定のことを話しました。いつもより元気なことがその証明になりました。ですがソーニャの病気は選定の最後の一人になっても治るものではないと思います。つまり12週間寿命が延びてもその先は長くはないということです。
選定が終わっても病気は完治するわけじゃないってこと？
はい、そういうことだと思うであります。だからソーニャは負けてもいいと思ったであります。代わりに許された時間だけでも外の世界を見たかったであります。家の中から世界を見てソーニャは日本に憧れていたであります。日本の文化、忍者侍ではない現実の日本に触れてみたかったであります。カードブックを手にした時少しワクワクしてしまったであります。ソーニャの大好きな日本のアニメでは魔法少女はこのようなカードとカードブックを使って変身して戦っていました。ソーニャの未練は世界を見ることであります。それを叶えたかった。
Her words triggered my own book lighting up, creating a new card. Sonia smiles when she sees that happen, but unlike her smile in the family restaurant, there is an echo of sadness within it. Her childlike innocence clashes heavily with her mature realization that she's just come a step closer to being eliminated.
だからしばらく様子を見た後、パパとママと一緒に日本へ旅行することに決めたのであります。ソーニャが脱落したらパパもママも旅行のことを忘れちゃうかもしれないですけれど、せめてもらった時間を有意義に使ってみたかったのであります。
でも一人でいたってことは何かあったんだね。
はい、その通りであります。ソーニャたちが様子見をしていた間にソーニャの使命のカードを持っている人はソーニャたちの行動を見張っていたみたいなのでありました。空港に着いてタクシーに乗ったのですが、それこそが罠でした。
罠？
はい、選定の参加者さんでありました。パパとママを殺されたくなければ情報を教えろ、そういう脅しをされてしまったのであります。
The worst possible situation springs to mind when I hear that. It sounds exactly like something Ellen Scorpion would do.
その人って12の男の人だった？
いいえであります。
Her denial only serves to worry me more. All it means is that there are others willing to resort to the same methods as him.
2人組でした。3番の男の人と11番の女の人です。
その2人が？
会ったことありましたですか？
I shake my head in response. Numeral 3, Federico Carminati. I ended up with his name card during the initial distribution. Having seen him in the dream world multiple times, I know he's tall and slender. As for numeral 11, she's the one responsible for eliminating numeral 7. Much like Alan, her eyes are as frigid as they come. Those two working together definitely comes as a surprise. I figured I would have the advantage against numeral 3 because I have his name card, but if he's with her, that's no longer the case. Realizing that I've interrupted her, I apologize and wait for her to pick up where she left off.
パパとママのためソーニャは自分の情報を教えたであります。しかし男性はそれだけでは済ませない。持っているカードを全部教えろと言ったのであります。ソーニャは11番の方のカードを持っていたであります。未練のカードです。だから言ったであります。教えてもいいでありますけれど、仲間割れの原因になるでありますよと女性の方を見ながら。怒られるかと思ったであります。でも11番の女性は笑ったのです。
Damn, she's got more guts than that old geezer, despite her age. That's what I'm talking about. I can't believe Sonia threatened me, you know? Jeez, if she wants to see the world, maybe I'll let her after showing that kind of bravado. Wait. I can't believe Sonia threatened me, you know? Jeez, if she wants to see the world, maybe I'll let her after showing that kind of bravado. Say what you will, but I like this kid. Numeral 11 was apparently full of cheer as she praised Sonia for her rebellious act. She had a condition, though. Sonia wasn't allowed to be with her parents until her last day, as a means to prevent them from trying anything. So long as she did that, they were willing to both spare her parents and let her do as she pleased.
そんなの勝手な条件だ。ソーニャのためじゃない。女の人が情報を知られたことを察したから、未練と顔を手がかりにソーニャたちが情報を集めるのを防いだだけ。ごめん、いきなり大声出して。
お姉様は怖いですけど優しいでありますね。脱落させるべき相手のソーニャのために怒ってくれるなんて。でもいいんです。パパとママが助かるであります。それにさっきも言ったようにソーニャはどうあっても長くは生きられないでありますよ。
ソーニャは死を受け入れているの？
死を受け入れるでありますか？
死んでも仕方がないって思ってるってこと？
はい、選定が始まる前からです。ソーニャは自分が病気だと分かった時からずっといつか死ぬって分かってましたから。
That might explain the sadness in her smile earlier. I'm not sure whether the doctors or her parents told her, but she's likely been informed of how long she has to live multiple times. Just by looking at her, I can tell that she's been raised with love. However, her inevitable death has probably been looming over her head ever since she found out. Just because she knows and has accepted her death doesn't mean she isn't scared to face it, of course.
辛かったね。
I pat her on the head. I should have learned with Kaiko that getting attached to other participants is dangerous, and yet I can't stop myself. Sonia likely gave up on her life and chose to act like she's fine for the sake of her parents and those around her. I refuse to believe that she's truly accepted it, though. Her expression right now proves it to me.
死ぬのは分かっていたことであります。だから辛くないと思っていたでありますが、本当に辛くないのか今は分からないであります。
I don't have the means to provide her with true salvation. I do feel for her, though. No one should have to go through what she has at such a young age, but I can't give my own life in exchange. I can't forget that I just met her today, too. We're not even friends. And yet, for some reason, I'm racking my brain for her sake. This entire time, she's been wearing a peculiar expression on her face. She likely doesn't truly understand her feelings yet. Not that I can blame her. I'm in the same boat. Lette has disappeared at some point during our chat. The light reflects off its empty milk bowl, casting a strong shadow. I spent the rest of the time just patting Sonia's head.
おはようございます。お姉様、起きてくださいであります。
I struggle to muffle my own voice as I hear someone else's shouting into my ear. The voice belongs to none other than Sonia. She revealed last night that she had no lodging plans, so I agreed to let her stay here to avoid her having to roam the streets.
しかし驚きました。漫画喫茶という宿泊施設にすぐ泊まれるものかと思っていたでありますから。
その偏った知識はネットで得たんだよね、多分。漫画喫茶って別にホテルじゃないからさ。
She tilts her head inquisitively in response to my surprise. I know a lot of people do stay overnight at them, but I can't see anyone getting a good night's sleep on a chair. That, and I doubt they'd let a kid in there so late at night.
お姉様、よかったのでありますか?
She tilts her head in the opposite direction, this time with wide and hopeful eyes. She's referring to a promise I made with her last night. I promised to give her a tour of Japan, even if it's a brief one. She may be able to speak Japanese, but this is still a whole new culture for her. That and...
一人よりも二人の方が楽しいでしょ。
お姉様、優しい人に出会えてソーニャは嬉しいです。それだけでも日本に来た甲斐があるってあります。
感動するのはちゃんと思い出を作ってからにしなね。日本って言っても東京だけだから案内できるところは少ないけどさ。
There's good meaning behind doing this during divine selection. So long as I survive, her memories and experiences here in Japan won't disappear.
あ、でも昨日言った通り学校があるから夕方に新宿駅で待ち合わせだよ。
はいであります。
She smiles and raises an arm into the air as part of her enthusiastic reply. If only I had realized that when it was... Wait, if only I had realized then what it was she kept hidden behind that smile.
おはようリンカ。
おはた。
おはよう。
あ、今の実はおはようリーターンを略したんだよ。
Coming to school has helped me to settle down lately. Being reminded that I still got a regular life despite everything does wonders for one's mental state.
無視？
どんな反応を期待してたんだ。
じゃあおやすみ。
くす。相変わらずの魔王を見ると安心するね。
Mao lets the comet fly over her head and sprawls out over her desk instead. I bet she pulled another all-nighter. If that's the case, good luck waking her up before lunchtime. It's impossible for me not to smile at that freedom of hers. No matter what happens, I'll always have this place. Yeah.
ねえみー、うち昼飯いらねえ。寝てる。
ということだから二人で屋上に行こうか。
そうだね。って今日は特に眠そうだけど何してたの？
ネットでドラマの一挙放送を見てたら朝だったんだよ。
え？じゃあ寝てないの？
だから今寝てるのだよ。
Yeah, she's out of the game. Mihato seems to be thinking the same thing.
二人きりになるのは随分久しぶりの気がするね。
We make our way up to the rooftop after buying lunch. Mihato is eating light as usual. Today really is one of those perfect days for sitting up here. And yet the fact that we're the only ones doing it proves that we really are avoided by others. To be honest, I feel like that's more of a blessing than a curse these days.
選定が始まってからもまだこういう時間が取れることが僕は嬉しいよ。
She accompanies her comment with that usual charming smile of hers. As for me, I'm happy too.
私も嬉しいよ、ミハル。
リンカ。
きっとミハルも選定のことでいろいろ苦労してるよね。でもそういうのを忘れてこうしてゆっくりお昼を食べられるっていうのはとても嬉しい。
僕はとても幸せだ。やっぱり僕は 凛花の笑顔のためにずっと。
そういう話は今はやめとこう。
Mihara's expression as she declares her intentions to give her life for man flashes across my mind all of a sudden. I've gotten over a lot of things lately, but that's not one of them.
失礼した。ところで君に聞きたかったんだけれど。
She changes the topic before preparing to bite into her sandwich.
羊さんとは最近会っていないのかい？
It is a pretty standard question, but her face looks deadly serious.
もうコーヒーの入れ方はバッチリだから、ナオミの方も本格的に文化祭の準備で忙しくなるしね。
何かあったね。
I haven't told Miharu that Naomi was helping me out. That would put unnecessary pressure on them both, and it's why I have no idea how to answer her question. Miharu persists despite my hesitation, though.
羊さんは一般人だ。僕が凛花に協力するというのとはわけが違うよ。危険なことは分かっているから君は羊さんを遠ざけたのだろう。それが正解だ。どうしてそれを知っているかというのは聞かないでほしいよ。僕は少なくとも人間関係において凛花ほど察しが悪くないからね。君に会いに行く羊さんの目はそうだな、先週から随分と変わっていた。使命感に満ちていたというべきかもしれないね。
そうだね。美晴に隠しても仕方がなかった。
君が僕や魔王を気遣ってくれたことはよくわかっている。気にしなくていい。
ありがとう。うん。でも美晴の言う通り、ナオミに調べ物とか手伝ってもらうのはやめたよ。これからは一人で頑張るから。
僕に頼ってくれてもいいのにな。
え？
ちょっと待って。
Miharu casts her eyes over to the entrance and then speaks to me in a whisper.
誰かがこっちを見てる。物音がした。
生徒じゃないの？
だったら問題ないよ。でもそうじゃなかったら。
The implication is clear. We can't discount the possibility of another participant having made their way into the school to keep an eye on us.
僕が扉を開ける。
いや、一緒に行こう。二人の方がいいと思う。
She nods and we make our way to the door under the pretense that we're heading back to class. We don't hear any footsteps, so it's likely they're still there. As it turns out, our guess is right on the money.
お前は？
お腹が空いたであります。
どういうこと？
Miharu directs her question at me.
話すとちょっと長くなるんだけど。
This is one of those rare times where I can't help but clasp my hands on top of my head in a panic.
凛花、今回ばかりは君をバカと言わずにはいられないよ。
うん。甘んじて受け入れる。
はあ、ここが噂に聞くメイド喫茶でありますね。
Sonia wanders around the store, taking in every aspect of it. I suppose this isn't the kind of place you'd find in Russia. In an ideal world, I wouldn't have come here. Not to say that maid cafes are bad in general, I don't really like standing out among the predominantly male customer base. Plenty of anime and mangas are set in schools, so that seems to have led Sonia to have an interest in what they're really like. Seems like she had to enroll in a correspondence school due to her condition, which meant she never actually had the chance to go to a physical school. As such, going to one was part of being able to see the world at large in her eyes. That's why she snuck to Amichahai to watch what I was doing. I figured she would have been caught, so... Wait. I figured she would have been caught doing so, but she gave me this excuse.
忍者の勉強をしていましたからバッチリであります。
She made some wacky hand gestures at the same time. Apparently they're from an anime that had aired while I was in elementary school.
友人の僕としては君が優しい人であることを誇るべきなのかもしれないけれどね。
いや、もうフォローとか辛くなるからやめて。
Mihara is obviously baffled, so I can only give her a timid response. Lunch break ended not long after we discovered Sonia, so we had to get her to lay low somewhere until school was over. On our way back, I explained that I'd let her stay at my place. Once Mihara mentioned that she had to go to work, the topic shifted to what Miharu's job entailed. Sonia's odd impression about certain parts of Japan have led her to believe that maid cafes represent the country just as much as places like Kiyomizu Temple, so she's pretty much forced us to take her.
もっとも君はあの子を気にかけたことを後悔はしていないのだよね。ならやはり僕は凛花を誇ろう。
Sonia makes her way back to our table just as we wrap up our conversation. There are a number of ornaments and notes littering the store, so it's not uncommon for customers to leave their seats. However, it certainly is odd for a girl her age to be wandering around a store like this. That's why all eyes are on us when she returns.
そういえばメイドさんって普通家事をするんですよね。美晴はどうして高校生なのにメイドさんなのでありますか？
僕はただのアルバイトだからね。そもそも君の思うようなメイドは日本にはいないよ。
そんな夢を壊すようなことは。
おへえ、なるほどってあります。てっきり美晴も魔法少女なのかと思っていました。
それより僕の名前、いや凛花が呼んでいたのは聞いたのか。
お姉様、この特製パンケーキって何ですか？
おお、ここにもあるんだ、こういうの。パンケーキにメイドさんが絵を描いて美味しくなる呪文を唱えてくれますだって。
呪文、それは面白そうでありますね。
The entire store gasps in horror upon hearing her request.
待ってくれ凛花、そのメニューはいささか僕のキャラクターとは違っていてね。できることなら断りたいところなんだ。
あ、そうなんだ。まあそうだよね。
ああ、このパンケーキ自体は特別美味しいものではない。5000円の価値は毛頭ない。どこに付加価値があるか想像はついていると思う。このメニューはまさに客単価を上げようとする店長の策略だ。経営の正常化のために民家にはこの悪徳商法に加担しないでほしいところだね。
そうにゃ、食べられないでありますか？
残念だけれどね。あるいは僕ではない他のスタッフを呼べばいい。
Just then, the manager calls Mihara over. I guess he's noticed our little conversation. Her expression upon returning is an awkward mix of anger and despair. She places a tray with a pancake on our table and then doodles something on it, using a chocolate pen. A stuffed animal shaped to look similar to the one Sonia carries.
素晴らしいであります。ほらパサジール、あなたでありますよ。呪文はこの後かけてくれるのでありますか？
凛花の前でこれをやらなくてはならないというのだね。悪い。
Mihara shoots Sonia the most evil glare I've seen from her. It's not the kind of expression you'd normally show to a child. She then turns to me, looking more serious than I've ever seen her.
いいかい？僕が今からやるのはあくまで仕事だよ。だから凛花も店を出たら見なかったことにしてほしい。
She looks ever so tense. Hearing that causes all sorts of scenarios to run through my head, which leads me to feel embarrassed on her behalf before she even does it. She inhales sharply and lifts her index fingers into the air.
おいしくなーれ。
She spins her index fingers in the air a few times before creating the shape of a heart by cupping both hands together, which she then thrusts towards the pancake.
日本の 光少女を見ることができたであります。
Sonia is likely oblivious to the emotions Miharu is keeping tucked away behind that smile. Instead, she is tickled pink that she's gotten to witness something so rare. Meanwhile, Miharu hasn't moved an inch after striking her pose. She does all in her power to not make eye contact with me.
可愛かったよ。
屈辱だ。
I couldn't bring myself to look her in the eyes when I muttered that either, so Miharu covers her face in shame and runs off to the back room.
お姉様、どうしましたか？
なんだろう。私がもっと必死で止めてあげればよかったのかな。罪悪感。
Once Sonia has finished her meal, I make sure to get our bill right away. Speaking of the bill, Sonia pays using the credit card she has on her. It's the only reason I let her order in the first place. As we are about to leave, Miharu returns from the back room. She's back in her school uniform. It would seem she's managed to get off early for the day, although I make sure not to ask her how or why.
そうにゃ、秋葉原の街並みも見てみたいです。
そっか、行きたいって言ってたもんね。でも私よく知らないけど。
構わない。僕も付き添おう。それでいいだろ、リンカ。
Miharu comes here often, so we're better off having her guide us.
それに僕は君を完全に信用したわけではないからね。うかつに二人きりにはさせられない。
I can't call Miharu out, not even for her harsh tone. While I trust Sonia, I'm still aware of the risks involved in being with her like this.
ミハルが案内してくれるのでありますか？そうにゃ、たくさん見たいものがあります。
Sonia shows little care for our concerns in that regard.
あどけないね、本当に。
Having decided on what to do next, we finally leave the maid cafe. Shinjuku Station is packed due to everyone making their way home from work. The three of us take the Soba line from Akihabara back to Shinjuku, and then get off so we can make our respective transfers.
まさかあれほどに付き合わされるとは思わなかったね。
そうにゃ、ホクホクです。
By the time we finish touring Akihabara, I'm beat. I usually only get off there to make a quick transfer, so I honestly had no idea what it'd be like. I noticed tons of anime and electronic stores while we walked around. Sonia kept stopping in front of and going into stores that caught her interest, so it's safe to say that she pretty much dragged us wherever she wanted.
お姉様、せっかく日本にいるのに素晴らしいアニメ文化を知らなすぎであります。
子供の頃にはそれなりに見てたんだけど、随分たくさんあるよね。アニメじゃなくて漫画だったらもう少し分かったんだけど、それでもソーニャたちほどではないかな。
ミハルを見習ってください。
僕はバイトの関係上積極的に勉強するようにしているからね。愛嬌を振りまくにも話を合わせる必要がある。
When I think about it, I've barely watched any anime at all recently. I've kept myself busy by helping out with the store, and my time's tied up in it even more now than I'm in charge of it. Fuck. Holy crap, these sentences, they're built so weird. I've kept myself busy by helping out with the store, and my time's tied up in it even more now that I'm in charge of it.
さっきも言っていたけれど、リンカは少女漫画を読んでいたよね。
そうだね。真央からよく借りてたし。
お姉様は怖く見えますが、乙女チックなのでありますね。
そこがいいのだけれどね。
いや、怖く見えるってとこを否定してほしいんだけど。
As we make our way back to the subway entrance, Miharu follows alongside us, which is odd of her considering she should have gone in the opposite direction at Akihabara to get home. When I decide to ask her why she's tagging along, she answers with a smile.
僕も君の家に泊まるからさ。君とソフィアを二人きりにするのはまだ 危険だと思っているからね。
だって明日平日だよ。
構わないよ。明日の早朝に一度戻って準備をすればいい。僕はソフィアがリンカの寝首をかかないか見届けられればいいからね。
ちょっとそんな言い方。
コック、お姉様かゆいですか？
さすがの君もその言葉は知らないか。まあいい。言ったろ、僕は君のことをまだ信用していない。
しょぼんってあります。
She looks sad at first, but then flips right back to her bright expression.
でもそのおかげでいっぱい楽しいところに行けたであります。
明日も観光するのだろう。僕もついていく。明日も泊まらせてもらう。心配しなくても観光している間は純粋に楽しめるように努力するよ。いいね。
私はいいけど、美晴の家の人大丈夫なの？
She hesitates before nodding her head and telling me it'll be fine. With that sorted out, we discuss where to go tomorrow as we make our way back. Mahato never appeared openly hostile towards Sonia today, but you could tell things were a bit awkward.
ミハルのハンバーグとっても美味しかったであります。
Sonia feels the need to praise Mihato for her cooking after we head up to my room after dinner. Mihato was the one to propose making it on our way home, in all honesty.
とっても美味しかった。話には聞いてたけど、予想以上に料理上手って感じだったな。ごちそうさま。
大したことはないさ。毎日料理をしているとそれなりにうまくなるものさ。リンカは僕の手料理を食べたことがなかっただろう。いい機会だと思ってね。
いいけど、あんまり期待しないでね。
It's funny, but I cook every day too. Granted, most of the time I buy a number of small meals and mix them together. I usually stick to simple things, so that's probably why I never seem to get any better. As for the food on the Lionhouse menu, I can only make that thanks to Grand's recipes. Next, we take our respective turns in the bath and then spend the night watching TV and chatting away. What time is it? I can tell it's not morning yet, but for some reason I've woken up. Something isn't right, and I realize what it is immediately. Neither Mahato nor Sonia are anywhere in sight. I figure something's up, and then I hear voices coming from downstairs. Fearing the worst, I make my way to the stairs. I stop halfway down, though. Not sure what they're talking about, but Mahato sounds rather serious. She obviously doesn't want me hearing or knowing what they're talking about if she took Sonia downstairs with her. I realize that listening in on other people's conversations isn't admirable, yet I can't bring myself to go back to my room.
分かっているね。
はい。
I can hear them clearly once Mihato seems to change the subject.
やはりおかしいね。
何がでありますか？
リンカが君の前で僕の名前を呼ぶ前から君は僕の名前を呼んでいた。結論から聞くよ。君は僕の使命のカードを持っているね。
すみません。
どうして謝る？
あなたのカードを持っていたのに黙っていたからであります。
調子が狂うな。
Mihato sighs and massages her brow with her fingers.
分かった。もういい。だがこれだけは覚えていてほしい。僕は三島美晴さ。
はい。美晴は美晴でありますね。
面白いな、君は。
Mihato's name card. I know her full name, yet somehow I don't have it. That can only mean that her real name is something other than what I know her as. Well, it's not too surprising when you consider her circumstances at home. It's also why I've never asked her about it.
聞いているね、リンカ。
お姉様。
I cover my mouth by reflex when Mahato calls my name, despite knowing that it will make a slapping sound.
僕が君の息遣いに気づかないはずないだろ。
ごめん。
僕は今日謝られてばかりだね。まあいい。どこから話を聞いていたかは知らないけれど忘れてくれ。ソフィアも深夜に起こして悪かったね。上へ戻ろう。眠れるだけ眠っておいた方がいい。
うん、そうだね。
I want to discuss things with Mahato now that the cat's out of the bag, but we decide it's best to go back to my room after watching Sonia let out a big yawn. Basically, I don't get to find out anything regarding Mahato's name card. School ends up flying by somehow. Once classes are over, the three of us meet up at the gate. We couldn't have Sonia infiltrate the school again, so we got her to wander around the university campus instead. Not only is it open to everyone, but there's a library there as well. I'm sure she surprised a few students there, but oh well. However, once we meet up, I realized getting her to do that was a mistake.
大学楽しそうなところでありました。
そうにゃ。
Her words pierced my heart. She'll never have the opportunity to attend a university, regardless of Divine Selection's outcome. Even if she were to win somehow, it wouldn't cure her condition. Whether or not she really would die soon after is unknown, but at the very least, she's convinced herself that it's certain.
リンカが気にすることではないよ。だろ、ソフィア。
はい、ソーニャの知らないこと知るのはとても楽しいです。
さあ、では行こうか。今日は本格的に観光するのだろ。
東京の街並み楽しみでありますよ。
Things seem fine between the two of them. I guess they put whatever happened last night behind them. Like Mihato said, we've got plenty to see today. We make our way towards the station. It's hard to sum up all the places we visited. First was Tokyo Skytree. After that, Sensuji Temple. We made sure to avoid the busy area, but we still got a good look at Kaminariman. We saw Roppongi Hills from a distance as well, but before that we paid a visit to Jinbocho since it served as the setting for an old anime. Walking from place to place would have been a bit much, so we used a taxi instead. Sonia's parents must be rich since she paid for everything with her credit card just like she did at the maid cafe. That helped a lot, especially because we also went to Odaiba. After getting on the Ferris wheel and seeing the Fuji television building, we had to turn right around to reach our final stop. Said last stop is Zojoji Temple. It's said to be a time-honored temple with ties to the Tokugawa family from the Edo period. That and something about Pure Land Buddhism. Based on what we've been seeing here, a lot of bands and artists use the open area for concerts. The area's name and those of its surrounding stations are based on the name of the huge gate at the entrance to the temple, so it goes without saying just how impressive it all is. It's only 30 or so minutes from the station, and yet I had no idea this place even existed.
くたくた。リンカも僕も立ち仕事をしているはずだけれど、さすがにハードな工程だったね。
Meanwhile, Sonia walks ahead of us as we complain about our aching feet.
すごいであります。
She blurts out an exclamation of wonder as she points at Tokyo Tower, visible off in the distance. You can see it clearly past the temple. Its huge red frame is decorated with all sorts of colored lighting. Obviously, I've seen it before, but seeing it this close and at night is a completely different experience.
綺麗だ。
東京素晴らしいであります。
All three of us are entranced by the sight of Tokyo Tower glimmering in the night for a good while. It brings back memories of the parade and light show I saw together with Mihato at the theme park. Divine Selection wasn't even on my mind back then. Never would have I imagined I'd wind up in a situation like this. I wonder if Sonia's reflecting on her life right now. There's a hint of sorrow on her face as she looks up at Tokyo Tower.
こうして綺麗なものを見ることができて、ソーニャはとっても幸せです。幸せすぎて寂しいであります。
Her eyes water and reflect the light coming from the tower. She raises her gaze higher into the night sky, but it does little to keep the tears from running down her cheeks.
とこの瞬間がソーニャにとって一番幸せなのであります。最初で最後のソーニャの見た、ソーニャが感じた広い世界。
The floodgates damming her tears are broken. I understand that feeling all too well. She can't keep up the facade any longer. Her bright smile has been snuffed out by this outburst.
もうおしまいなのであります。これで今日で
I feel my own eyes start to water, but I do everything in my power to hold it in. I move to hug her, but Mihara notices and shakes her head at me.
感情移入しすぎてはいけないよ。
She said this quietly enough so that only I can hear her. I can't stop myself though. If crying together with her isn't an option, then I want her to know that I'm here for her. At the very least. There's no doubt she'll crumble in front of reality otherwise.
そうにゃ。
お姉様、パパ、ママ。ソーニャは辛いであります。今ならわかるであります。世界にはこんなに美しいものがあるのに、もうお別れしないといけないなんて。
Time slows to a crawl while Sonia lets out all her emotions. The light from the tower reflects off her tears, causing them to shine like precious jewels.
リンカ、君は
Miharu starts to say something but stops herself. Once Sonia finally settles down, we make our way back to Lionhouse. It's 9 p.m. by the time we get back. Going out to buy stuff for dinner, not to mention making it, would have taken even longer, so we end up ordering some pizza. Needless to say, the three of us wolf it down immediately.
美味しいであります。日本の食事は最高なのであります。
いや、宅配ピザこそロシアにもあるでしょう。
ソーニャは食べられるものが少なかったでありますよ。何も気にせず自由に食事できることはとても幸せであります。
Her tone may be cheery, but there's a certain weight hidden behind each and every word. Miharu manages to keep things from becoming awkward, though.
リンカの手料理を食べられないのは残念だ。
まあ、もう時間的にね。宅配ピザって子供の頃以来かも。
おばあ様と二人暮らしだと特に頼む機会は少ないかもしれないね。
うん。あんまりデリバリーするって習慣もないみたい。お蕎麦くらいかな。ピザ自体は店でも作ってたから好きだと思うんだけど。そもそもおばあちゃん好き嫌いないからね。何でも食べるのが健康の秘訣っていうのがおばあちゃんの口癖だったから。
She really is healthy for her age, too. She really enjoys bragging about still having all her teeth intact.
リンカの好き嫌いがないのもおばあ様の影響なんだね。
それは間違いないかも。
お姉様のおばあ様でありますか。
よくわかっているね。リンカを育てたのだから当たり前さ。
So says Miharu, who I'm pretty sure hasn't actually met my gran. There's plenty to talk about while we eat our dinner. Topics often revolve around Sonia's family. Her grandmother in particular sounds like a nice person, and she's apparently good at sewing. In fact, she's the one who made Pazier for Sonia.
ソーニャ、家で友達が いなかったですから。本を読む時もアニメを見ている時も一人ぼっちにならないようにパサジールをプレゼントしてくれたであります。
Alright, why don't we stop it there? This is audapostrophe. You've been watching Fatal 12 on Nintendo Switch. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.